That is good. For those who don't know, Jen Sikes is my sister.
Yeah.
And she filled in for a speaker who could not make it because she had to have surgery, Robin Conley. So Jen was gracious to fill in. Jen and I grew up without a TV, without any electronics. And we were, so we developed a love of reading and books early on. Yeah, and we became very big. And we were growing up, we used to play paper dolls for those who way before Barbies. They didn't even think about Barbies yet. But we cut out our little people and cut out the clothes, and then we created whole worlds for them, and beds and houses, and we just, and I think that fed our imaginations and our love for telling stories, because that's what we did. Jen is a multi-published, award-winning author of an exciting series about her life with her country performer, singer husband, Rick Sikes. He was a very huge part of the music industry, and so she thought their story, and he talked about it before he passed away, that someone needed to write their story down, and they tried to get me, but I didn't know everything. I didn't know a lot of that, so I didn't know till I read the book, so I couldn't do it. So, yeah, Jen, she had never written a novel before, so I helped her, and she learned really fast, and
I had a good
her
teacher.
First book, well, the second book, Convict in the Rose, won first place in the Texas Association of Authors writing contest. Home at Last, her third one, won first place in the Texas Association of Authors and also the North Texas Book Festival. Her book trailers and covers, they win prizes all the time, and I'm just amazed. She fills her stories with bits and pieces of wisdom, hard-learned lessons, and above all, love. True love that you read about in fiction, but yet is in real life. The old saying that truth is stranger than fiction, fits the stories that she shares through her writing. She is very passionate about her writing projects and is driven to tell a story with the hope that it might touch someone's life or heart in a positive way. She has a brand new one, poetry. This one just is fresh off the press, just a few days ago. But this is poetry that her husband and she both wrote, and she wanted to end the series with that. So.
And it was edited by Miss Molly McKnight. Thank you, Molly.
Yes, Molly.
So, say that is an awesome book. I got to know this man and his heart is just beautiful.
Thank you.
And Linda, may I please say that I have read all but that one, and that well worth your time and your money to buy Jan's books. They are really from the heart.
Oh, y'all are so sweet.
And they are all, she brought copies, plus CDs. She releases a music CD with every book, so it's just something kind of unique that she does.
Watch the chords.
Okay.
Don't trip.
Would you catch me?
I will. You know I will.
Okay, I'll turn it over to her.
Oh, wow, what an introduction. I'd I'd like to meet that lady. First of all, let me thank you very much for allowing me to come back here. Y'all are such an awesome group, and it's always fun. You're going to be my guinea pigs today because this is my first presenting of this workshop, which will be presented again at the Writers' Symposium in March. So I get to work out the kinks with you guys because you're so nice and wonderful. But so what we're going to do today is we're going to play with words. We are writers and we have to have words to tell our stories, but we very often fall into ruts. We'll use the same word 1,500 times in one chapter. So we're going to play with words today. You already know who I am, and I apologize this isn't bigger. We would have to put the projector way back there, and the cord isn't long enough. So, can everybody see it? Do we need to turn a light out? Perfect. There we go. We can see me. Okay. When you're writing, does your writing just jump off the page? Does it like have its own life? Mine doesn't always. That's what we go back and edit for a lot of times. But we do fall into ruts, not only in our writing, but in our daily lives. We do the same thing over and over again. We get up at the same time. We drink the same coffee. Because it's comfortable. It's our comfort zone. So we're going to kind of try to step out of that a little bit today. The purpose of this workshop is simply to present different options and to tell you about some amazing resources I have found that sit by my computer all the time because they are so easy to use and such great resources. And we'll talk about those more. But we're going to talk about dialogue tags. Does everybody know what that is? We're all writers. We know. Okay. We're going to talk about descriptive adjectives and a little bit about not overusing them. We need them, but not too many. Body language is such a big thing in telling a story, and you can show the reader so much about your character by the way they do things, by the way they raise their eyes, by the way they shrug their shoulders, wring their hand, whatever. So we'll talk about body language, and then we're going to talk about something you may not have heard about. It's called beats. We think of beats as being in music. You know, there's 8 beats to a measure, and so we think about it in terms of music, but it also applies to writing, and so we're going to explore that as well. When you're writing, you know what you're seeing in your mind. You can see the scene. The challenge is to get that down onto paper so that the next person that picks it up will see the same thing that you're seeing in your head. And that is a huge challenge because we all see through different filters. But just getting that picture out and getting it on paper so that somebody else has some idea of what you're seeing up here. And then, of course, you know, we all, at every workshop we ever attend, we all get bombarded about show, don't tell. And, you know, we can say the words, we can understand the concept, but sometimes implementing it is a little hard because it's so much easier just to tell it, but then it's boring. It just lays there. It's flat. It doesn't get the reader's attention. So we're going to talk about that as well. I have some resources and references that I want to share with you today because they have been so amazing and awesome for me. And when I find something that works and that is great, I want to share it. I loved what Kim said about, and this is my philosophy in life too. She said something about that by supporting each other, we are supported. That is so true. If you can uplift someone higher than yourself, then you're going to be uplifted. It's just, it's physics. it works. So I loved when she said that, because that just really, but anyway, that's off the subject. So the resources and the references, I've got 3 books here that I'm going to share with you. The Emotion Thesaurus, invaluable. I keep it by my computer all the time. It's very easy to use. She has it, there 2 ladies. They've actually written a whole series. There's 4 or 5 of them. That one of them is positive characters, negative characters, rural settings. But this one is just so invaluable because she just...
How do you spell Becca's last name?
It is Puglisi. And these will be up here, and I welcome you to come up and take a look at them after the presentation because they really are awesome books. And then the other one that I found, it's written by an author in Greece. And the title of his is Emotional Beats, How to Convert Your Writing into Palpable Feelings. This book is pretty amazing too. I've been very impressed with it, and it's just so, the language and the way he put it across is very practical, it's very simple, it's very down to earth, very easy to use. So it's also a great resource. And then I didn't put this one up here, but this is also an amazing little book. Strong Verb, Strong Voice by Ann Everett. And again, it's very simple, and I love that. And you know, one thing that I think about a lot with learning tools, I don't know about you, but I don't like sitting down and reading a book about writing. I don't. I love workshops like this. I love learning through interaction, but I don't like to sit down and read how to write a book. I mean, I'd be asleep in 5 minutes.
How do you spell Ann's last name?
It's Everett. Ann Everett. And this book is nothing but verbs. So, you know, I guess you could write a whole book just on adjectives. I don't know. But not adverbs. Yes, it is separated into categories. And, I mean, you know, it's just, it's pretty amazing. So y'all feel free to come up and take a look at them. And I'll be referring to them often throughout the presentation. You all have handouts, and I'm going to tell on my sister because she made me put the colored one on top, but it's not the first one we're going to look at. But she wanted the color one on top, so that's not the first one we're going to look at. We're going to start out talking about dialogue tags, and we know that, you know, said, ask, all of those things are the most common. I saw a title just the other day that read, "Said is dead." I agree and disagree a little bit, because there's sometimes when that's just the only word you need to use, but not to overuse it. It doesn't need to be every sentence ends with she said, he said, she asked, he asked. So we're going to start with dialogue tags, and the second part of your handout is kind of an example of some of the different ways you can say a very simple word. But dialogue is the vehicle for expressing the character's thoughts, beliefs, or opinions. That's how we get that across without telling. And it can't be a full emotional experience by itself. It's got to have something added to it to make it a full emotional experience. So that's kind of where our job comes in, to bring that character more to life, or to tell more about that character through a dialogue tag. We can use body language. We can use physical actions. We can use a sigh. I mean, there's just so many different things we can use besides said and asked and thought and all those different things that we use over and over. To convey the feeling, and you know, that's the thing that we all have in common. Every human being has the innate need to feel. And when I read a story, I want to feel what the character's feeling. If it's terror, I want my heart to beat a little faster. I want to feel that. And so that is our job as writers, is to get that feeling into there. And so to convey that, we must utilize nonverbal communications as well as verbal. And that's where the dialogue tags come into. Dialogue tags are basically used to tell the reader who's talking. And if it's just two people in the room and there's nobody else involved, a lot of times you don't even need a tag. If it's clear who's saying what to who, then you don't need one. But if there's any question about who's saying what to whom, then you need a tag of some sort. That's the primary purpose. And you don't have to have a dialogue tag at the end of every sentence. In fact, you should not, if you can avoid it, because it can take away from the whole conversation. You get distracted by what they're doing instead of what they're saying. We can also use dialogue tags for the sentence rhythm and to change the sound of a sentence, maybe to interrupt in the middle. Like if it's a very long sentence, then interrupt it in the middle and have a little something. Rub their eye, put their hand through their hair, or, you know, something to break up a long sentence. That's always a kind of a good thing to do. Tags are not intended to be used as a way to describe the manner in which a dialogue is spoken. Does that make sense? The manner in which the dialogue is spoken. It's not meant to tell let me think of another way to say it. Do what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, did I lose you?
No, yeah, I said, I thought I lost on that.
Okay, well, let me think of another way to say it. They show who, not how, is speaking.
Would this get into body language, though?
Somewhat, yes. It can get into body language. And body language is a really good way of breaking up dialogue and telling more things about your character, about their personality, about their demeanor, about their attitude. Body language is great for that, and we're going to talk a lot about body language, and you've got some in your handout as well. But the dialogue, it needs to tell what, not how. I don't know another way to say it other than, let me think.
So like if you have a character that's scolding another character, you don't want to use a dialogue tag that says Maria scolded Jake and then the dialogue.
No, you want to put what Maria said.
Yeah.
Jake, get over there and sit down.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore, whatever it is she said. So yes, thank you. That's exactly it. You know, you don't want to say, you know, she frowned at him or she whatever. Show it. Don't say it, show it.
You don't want to use it as the only way to say what's happening.
Right.
Because that's a lazy.
It is. Again, that's telling.
She scolded, and then leave it at that. You want to show the whole.
Yes.
So they can
So
get
your
to
writing
see.
should be strong enough on
Yes.
its own.
Absolutely. And you know, I know we all know that. It's just sometimes we have a hard time utilizing it, especially when we're going and the story's flowing and we're just like, go, 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 go. And that's absolutely fine, because that's what edits are for, to go back and put those extra little things in. Think of dialogue tags as signposts, not the message on the sign. They are aids that support the message. They're not the message itself. Said and ask are the most common tags. They serve their purpose without distracting from what's being said. They simply let readers know who is talking. They just don't add anything else. You don't want your dialogue tags to stand out or to take away from what's going on. You just want to use them to enhance, to make it a little bit better, or to make it a little clearer as to what the speaker is doing, thinking, or whatever. In your handout, I gave you 115 words for walks. And just as kind of a curiosity today, I watched everyone walk into the room. Everyone walks differently. Some people saunter, some people walk with purpose, some people limp. That would be me when I get up out of the chair when I've sat too long. So there's just so many different ways to say walk. Yeah, you can wobble. I think I've done that a time or two, but that was in my younger years. So there's, and by using these other words, it tells you something about that character. If that character is wobbling, he's either been hit in the head, he's drunk, or he's on medication, or he's sick and fixing to fall over. I don't know. I mean, it tells you so much more than he walked. True enough. True enough. Yeah. Yeah. What would it tell you if we use the word creeps? What would it immediately, what do you get about that character?
Sneaky.
Sneaky, sinister. And see, so just by using that one word, it tells you so much more about your character. And actually, sneaks is another word on the list. I kind of like that one. Lumbers. To me, that's a big person. They just lumber along kind of like a bear.
I like meandered, because those people are always in front of me when I'm ready.
Exactly. Or saunter. Swagger. That's another one. That immediately gives you a picture if someone swaggers. They're arrogant, the ego's big, or they think they're special, whatever. Just so by using those words, you add depth to your characters, and without having to tell the reader about that he has a big ego, he swaggers. So that it's just a really, all of these references are just really awesome tools for making your writing pop, making it tell more.
In fewer words.
In fewer words. Sometimes it takes more words.
Some people may have had an experience with editing on this.
Yes.
So we could share experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm hearing comments from behind me.
Yes.
Somebody got taken to task for something.
Yes.
Yes, I use the word perambulate.
Oh my goodness.
And my writer prepared subsequently to eviscerate me. Eviscerate.
He was sided with him, and I said, so-and-so is not always right.
Well, so what were you trying to portray by using that word?
A commander of a legion army. I mean, that's a good word for it, I thought.
That's an excellent word. Everyone may not know what it is, and they might have to go to a dictionary.
So I'll go stick my tongue out at it.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. Anybody else? Any comment? Experience? Yes, sir.
I honestly love if your dialogue can live enough on its own.
Yes.
As long as you can keep it straight in the reader's mind.
That's
I
it.
leave off as many dialogue tags as I can.
And you're absolutely right, and you should. Every sentence doesn't need a dialogue tag. Like I was saying, if there's only 2 people in the room and they're the only 2 people conversing, unless you need to tell something about that character beyond what they're saying, it doesn't need it. It really doesn't.
If they have different voices, if they sound different.
Yes. True. Very true. That's very true. So, all of that said about dialogue, it is the single most aspect of writing a story, the single biggest aspect of writing a story. Although, on the other hand, there are books out there that did not have one sentence of dialogue in them. Not one. So, it depends on what you're writing. When you write a poetry book, most of the time there's not dialogue in poetry, although there can be. So, it just kind of depends. But it's a fun thing to play around with when you are writing dialogue, and to play around with the different tags, and to come up with different ways of saying the same old thing. So, and that's where we can get creative. Another way of adding to our dialogue is through showing of emotion. And you have in your handout some touchy-feely words. And they're very good at portraying emotion. Fiery. That immediately tells you something about the personality of the person. We've got wobbly again on here. That's a good word, apparently. In Anne Everett's book, she says that if we didn't have verbs, nobody would ever move. There would be no action without a verb. I went, wow, true. There would be no action. So I thought that was an interesting comment from her. All right, so let's talk about emotions. And the emotions thesaurus is full of emotions. For instance, anger. And again, in your handout packet, there's on the body language parts, there's also anger. Anger or aggression, how you would show that. You shake your fist, point your finger, stab your finger, slam a fist on the table, a flushed face, throbbing veins in the neck, a jutting chin, clench your fist, clench your jaw. There's just so many ways. And so for her, it takes 2 pages for her to tell us ways that we can show anger. Flaring nostrils, that kind of tells us that somebody's a little bit upset. Baring one's teeth, that would kind of get the point across. And she does physical signals to show anger. And then she goes internal sensations, grinding one's teeth, muscles quivering, heart pounding, body tensing. And then mental responses, she goes and breaks that down as well. Irritability, poor listening skills, jumping to conclusions, demanding immediate attention. And then she goes into a couple of other sections and talks about cues of acute or long-term anger. cues of suppressed anger. So this is such a great book when it comes to emotions. Desire, elation, frustration, paranoia. It's fear. Fear is a big one. And especially if you are, if you write thrillers or some sort of suspense. Fear is always in a suspense book. And there's just a lot of ways to show it. Trembling lips, rapid blinking, tight shoulders. I had tight shoulders the other day driving, but I wasn't fearful. I was just driving. I guess sometimes, if you're in Dallas, yes. Yes. Gripping something until the knuckles turn white. There's just so many ways to show different emotions. And I think that we probably kind of all know these different ways. It's just that sometimes we forget to use them because we get stuck using the same words. So that's really my whole purpose today, is just to get you thinking outside the norm a little bit. Action tags. That's the verbs that Anne was talking about, the strong verbs. Characters, animals, nature can't be or do anything without a verb. Characters can't laugh, animals can't attack, and trees can't sway in the breeze. Verbs provide excitement. They drive the narrative and paint a vivid picture in the reader's mind. And I would agree with that. With the different verbs, you can paint a completely different picture. A verb also depends, it determines when something happens. In the present or in the future. And they set the tense of your tale. The lady that wrote this book, Strong Verb, Strong Voice, actually compiled this from handouts that she created for her workshops. And then she put them into a book. So I thought that was a really good idea. One page that she has here is drank. How many ways can you drink? You can slurp, you can sip, there's just so many different ways that you can just take a drink. You can gulp, you can down it. So again, I can't say enough about these great little books. They just are so awesome to have. Again, in your handout, we've got the word for walks, and then we've actually got the one that Linda wanted on top. That changed the way you go. And just by looking at them, you can just see the difference. If somebody hightails it, that you immediately have a picture. They're in a hurry, and there's a reason. Either somebody's after them, or they're trying to get away from something, or they're late. One or the other. I wanted y'all to have these, just to have them for reference and to use them as much as you want. Get these books. What? Yes.
Which tags pose the greatest challenge for you personally as a writer, or do you have to watch overusing, perhaps?
I think we all do have to watch overusing.
Is there which group though?
For me,
personally.
I struggle more with adjectives and overusing adjectives than I do with verbs. So for me personally, it's adjectives because I can go on and on and on about the flowery scent. You can just come up with so many adjectives to describe one little thing, and it's too much. So yeah, That's kind of my nemesis that I watch for. I use too many words. I just do. I'm a wordy person, and so, you know, when I'm done with a book, I can go back and cut 10,000 words out of it and not lose one thing. So, you know, my problem is not coming up with words, it's using too many. Okay, well, now that we're on adjectives, we'll just talk about them right quick. We have bells.
Tintinabulation.
Well done. Another thing, too, about verbs before I move on. In this book, he has in the back of it, he has 1,000 verbs, 1,000 different ones. I just love these books. Anyway, okay, descriptive adjectives. They can simply be defined as the type of adjectives that are used to express the size, color, or shape of a person, a thing, an animal, or a place. They are used to provide more information to a noun by describing it or modifying it. So on your touchy-feely words, there are descriptive words that can add depth and meaning to your writing. Plush, warm, you know, it just anything that adds to it. Descriptive adjectives describe the qualities of the noun or pronoun, such as smell, taste, texture, appearance, and shape. One of the most common jobs for an adjective is it can change the meaning of a sentence. And the examples I have up here, there's a venomous snake on your shoulder. Well, that kind of creates a picture. Or there's an angry venomous snake on your shoulder. We added another adjective to it. Or there's a rubber snake on your shoulder. That one word can change the whole tone of the sentence and the whole meaning of the sentence. So I'm an adjective junkie. I love them. And they can change so much. The other thing that you don't want to do with adjectives, and this is what I was just talking about, is you don't want to use them just to prettify your prose. You want to use them to describe something. Another thing that we have to watch, that if you're ever in any writing class, they're going to tell you, avoid the word very. Well, in our everyday talking, we use it all the time. I was very tired. But in our writing, we would want to say something different. So, and again, it's just like the said, ask, and whatever. It's not that you can't use it, just don't overuse it. And a good example of that would be a way to say, what's another way you could say very little?
Tiny.
Tiny. It was very tasty. Delicious. See? That's so easy when we think about it. But when we're writing, it's like, oh, it was very tasty. But in conversation, that's acceptable because that's how we talk. That's what we say. And you always want your dialogue to be real.
This advice is very good.
Thank you. This advice is great.
There it is.
So, you know, again, it's not that you can't use very, just don't overuse it. And especially if you're trying to describe something, there's another word. Just reach for it. You'll find it. It's there. Okay. Ugh. Adverbs. Every writing class I ever took, they said, do not use words that end in ly. Do not. Yep. So, again, it's a challenge, but, you know, I love this example. The writer wrote, he whispered to her lovingly. Well, that's nice. That's sweet. But I was fixing to dance.
I thought it would buzz. That means it's time to get your lunches. So, you guys...
So instead of saying he whispered to her lovingly, he whispered words of love. My sweet, my dear lover, my angel. He purred his contentment and his joy. Completely different. We got a different picture. He purred. I don't think I've ever heard anyone purr.
It's in lots of books.
It is. Because it gives us a picture. And it gave us a much deeper look into the scene. So avoid words that end in ly. And I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. I'm going to go faster. Let's talk about body language.
Go ahead.
Adding body language, again, just adds depth to the character. If you've got a character who is very shy and very timid, what's she going to do with her hands? Yeah, she's going to hold her hands, or maybe even ring them, or maybe put them behind her.
She's shy. Behind her leaves her vulnerable.
Well, that's true. That's true. So she's gonna be holding them. That means don't cross my space. Crossing the arms. Don't come into my space. Or it's defensive. So body language, and there's 2 sheets, 2 whole pages in your handout, strictly about body language and how you can use it to enhance your character and to tell more about your character by having them do something. If the first one, anticipation, rubbing hands together, yes. Lick your lips. That applies to a lot of different ones. Some of them apply to a lot of different things, like pursing your lips. You could be thinking about something. You could be judging. Good. Yeah. So sometimes, things can be used for to portray different things, the same words. I really, again, love the body language in here and the body language in here. He has a whole section on body language, and he has like 4 pages just on the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul, and there's so many things you can do with eyes. If somebody's eyeballs bugs out, what do you think? They're surprised. Yeah. And so just by saying that, you don't have to say, he was surprised. His eyes bugged out. The face, again, there's so many things you can tell about a character through facial expressions. Raising the eyebrows, like just little bitty motions can tell so much. Little bitty changes in the demeanor of the face. And then, of course, you crossing the legs, crossing the arms. You can use every body part. There's not one that you can't use to describe the character. And it just adds more depth to that character and a clearer picture of the personality that you're writing. And it just works. It's a good way to get it across.
Do you want to stop? Do you want to break?
Sure. Do y'all want to break?
Did you want to do any of your things?
I would love to give y'all something. That's okay. Who all has business cards? Okay, that's a good way to collect it. I also have little pieces of paper. You can write your name, and we're gonna draw for some giveaways. So who needs paper?
Thank you.
That gives you 2 chances. We'll just put them in one of these bowls or something. Surely you have a business card.
Both of us.
Oh my gosh! Our Edward Jones rep left his business cards.
Just our name?
Actually, if you don't mind, I would love to have your name and email address so I can email you when I have something really cool happen. Yes.
This is a new one of hers. It's free on a Kindle right now.
Oh, that's wonderful. I need to
So
tell
you're gonna
that. Yes.
So here's the one.
In
that
fact,
you
I'll go
showed.
get it. But yes, those are just wonderful. Yes. Oh, sure. And you've got, okay, I'm going to come back around and get them. Oh, she's getting them. Okay. Anybody else? Paper? Okay, keep digging. If not, let me know. Oh, you just, okay, good deal. Okay, she's coming. She'll collect them.
And what are we supposed to write on the little,
Your name and your email address would be perfect.
I'll speak up and just tell that there's on Amazon right now.
Yes.
She has the emotional thesaurus that she's showing, but there's emotion amplifiers by the same author that's free on Kindle.
Free on Kindle today. We'll have to all get our phones out and go order it. Oh, you found one. Yay. Thank you. All right. Mix them up, shake them up.
And I'm gonna let you pick. I don't want to, because if I pull out my own, then somebody's gonna say something.
I'm not going to even look because I don't want to be. Christy, you have your choice of a bag. I will let you choose.
Which one's easiest for you?
Doesn't matter. They're all good.
How's that? Thank you so
Perfect.
much.
Okay, let's see who's next. Jerome? All right, and last but not least, Janet. Oh, thank you. Thank y'all so much for participating in that.
Do we want to take about a 10-minute break?
Yeah, we can do that.